getting a little feisty in here today. I mean, it started with beer, then Dave brought up guns. And
is it because you had a long day yesterday?
Yeah, you came in. I'll be honest. You came in feisty.
Feisty today. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Feisty Friday.
Long day, long week. Unexpected pickle twice. Okay, kept me up late. Daughter went out last night to a friend's house, and I had to take her. It was late. I wasn't expecting that, so I had to drive her.
School night.
They don't have school today. Teacher worked. So
lack of sleep one night this week.
Right.
Sunday night.
A Sunday night. I've been off, so it's feisty.
Got to stay up late tonight.
Oh, God, you're right. That's right. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So I forgot about it.
And tomorrow night.
Sorry, I forgot about it.
Aren't you excited about it?
We're working.
I'm excited. We're working tonight and tomorrow. When he said that, I was like, why am I staying up late tonight? Oh, yeah, right. Two guys have Chris Comedy.
We both are.
Woo!
Supposed to be.
Be together tonight.
Working for the weekend.
I call it Feisty Friday.
Lover boy.
I call it Feisty Friday in here. And I brought up the beer, and you brought up the guns. And then, Michelle from Japan brought up trans rights. Okay.
Well, that's
and then
usually
everything
the
went to
order.
hell.
Okay. Okay, right.
Somewhere along the line, we lost it.
So I just had this thought. Okay, this is about guns. Okay. And I'm not saying this will, first of all, this will never, ever, ever happen. And even if it did, I'm not saying which way I'd fall on this, but let's say a Democratic candidate, after a shooting like that happened in Kansas City, said, okay, I'm going to run for the Democratic nomination for president. And I need you to elect me and elect people that feel the way I do about this. And my main plank of my platform, and let's say he's decent on everything else, he's got some experience or whatever. And he says, my main plank is going to be, I'm getting rid of guns. I'm going to have a program where we spend money to buy back guns that you own over the next 5 years. And then after that, if you're caught with a gun, it's going to be a severe penalty. And I'm going to make the United States just like Japan, for instance, where there are no guns on the street. I'm going to get rid of these shootings in schools and wherever they might be. Do you think he'd win? Yeah. And let's say he's really got a plan that will do it, and it's doable. And you don't think he'd win?
No,
not in a jillion years. No, because people would simply point to the Constitution.
Yeah. Well, he'd have to say, I'm going to change. But that's the whole thing about the Constitution. It's changeable. Women didn't have the right to vote.
It is, but I think people who are adamant about the Second Amendment, adamant about gun ownership, will say this is why we have the Second Amendment, because of government overreach. And if it's, I can't remember the text, but they'll say that these rights, gun ownership rights, were ordained by not the government, God.
Yeah, okay, all right. But do you think
so? You could be impeached before you're even take the oath of office.
Well, that may be, but would he win the election?
No.
You think there are more people that would vote against him that would vote for him if he
in a landslide?
Really?
In a primary?
Really?
For the party, even whatever party it was.
You think he wouldn't even get the Democratic nomination?
Wouldn't even get to the general election? No.
Really?
No.
You don't think he would win California and Michigan and Pennsylvania and all the Wisconsin and no,
even though
because they're hunters. They're hunters.
Yeah,
some
they're
of those
hunters.
states.
Yeah,
Pennsylvania.
but
they're all
and
I think people think that's just government overreach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So no matter what, he wouldn't have the numbers to do that.
No,
I don't think so.
What if I changed what I said there and said I'm getting rid of assault weapons, handguns. You can keep your hunting rifles. You can keep, but certain guns I'm getting rid of.
No,
still wouldn't.
No, I think people would look at that still as government overreach.
Plus, the counter argument is, well, the government has them, so when if we need to rise up, which is in the Constitution or Declaration of Independence, then we need to be armed.
But could he say the Constitution was written when the forefathers could never have possibly imagine the firepower we have today, so you would have other ways to which to do that.
Yeah, and that seems to be a back and forth argument. That's what a lot of people say.
But you think he'd lose?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. I just put it to you on a Feisty Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a Feisty Friday.
Would he?
My relationship with guns, but I don't want to see guns ever outlawed. I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's one of the things that keeps the other guys, the Russians and the Chinese and other adversaries sit there and say,
they're armed.
All those Americans have guns.
Yes.
I don't know what the percentages of Americans in this country that are adults that own guns. I'm sure it's pretty high, but I think that's a deterrent.
That's a good question. What are the percentages that own guns?
Of adults, I have no idea.
Yeah, but I think if you own one gun, many times you own 50
multiples.
Guns.
That's it.
A lot of guns. There are more guns than people, but of course, probably half the people have guns.
I think it's a deterrent, and I think it has worked.
You do?
I do.
Well, what if I said the second part, where I'm going to let you keep a handgun for protection in your house or a rifle to shoot deer, but no assault weapon, all those things,
Well, those are on the table now.
Well, right.
In plenty of places.
So do you think a guy who really got behind that, a Democrat it would have to be, would win?
That's a tough battle. I don't know what the answer to that is, but probably not.
Jeremy, you're talking about, well, it's guns. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was talking about the fact that in Japan, they care more about each other than America does.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like the big thing with not having firearms is also, they get on a train, they wear a mask if they're sick because they're trying to protect the public.
So it would be a real culture change if someone wanted to do it that way. It would be, do you think that's a good thing? They try to protect each other? I mean, it seems like it.
Well, it's one of the things that once you start thinking about the community more, the whole idea of banning guns doesn't really become relevant because it's going to be, well, we're trying to protect each other as a group instead of I'm protecting me and I'm worried about me.
Yeah, well, that's American idea is,
it's culture.
It's for me. Me first, and let's, every man for himself. Survival of the fittest. That's kind of what we are here in this country.
I think the gun ownership in the U.S., according to a quick check, is 50%.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Half don't. But so you don't think that election would be close then? Because
half, it wouldn't be close. I think it'd probably be 55-60%.
Well, but I think what you're saying is right. Even many that don't own guns,
but non-gun owners don't.
Yeah, right. They still want people to have the right for guns.
Absolutely.
Wolverine Rob. Let's see how he falls on this. Wolverines. Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good.
P1 from the little town of Denton.
Thank you.
Yes, the president has no legal authority. That's why we have the three branches of government. They would have to pass an amendment through both houses of Congress, and then after that they would have to call a convention of states, which would take a 3/4 majority to even come close to that.
Correct.
Yes, and I would, but that's what I would, if I were running that way, I would say not only do you have to elect me, you have to elect enough people that agree with me, and then we have to elect state houses that would also agree with me. It would have to be a sweeping overhaul and this is my issue. I'm going to get rid of the guns. I'm going to buy them back, all the assault type weapons, and I'm going to make it very, very difficult to buy a gun, that kind of thing. But I would say just what you said. I want everybody's got to come in with me, otherwise it won't get done.
We're going to have a constitutional convention up in here.
We're going to do something now. We're going to do a thing.
I've never seen one of these before.
Then they did it.
They got the guns. But Biggie made a point off the air. He may be right. If that ever were to even come to pass, Texas may secede and Louisiana may secede.
I think once Texas will be who to watch because I think once Texas goes, then the other states will be like, we're going to Texas.
Start going too, and that'll be the big issue.
That could happen anyways. I'm waiting for Texas to do that.
You think they're just going to say, I'm done because of border crisis and so on.
Border crisis, so on, yeah.
Right now.
I don't think any state will ever secede unless you did get something really big in the way
something like that. Yeah. And the bad thing is that Texas they'd have guns. The rest
we wouldn't. We would not have guns.
Yeah. Fight that, boy. You can go in there with knives and sticks.
I'd go in with logic. I'd go in with reason. I'd go in with reason, and I would say
with passion.
I mean no harm.
And a white flag.
I'd walk across that border. I'd say I mean no harm to you.
I don't know if you all know, but I have the best bang.
Now the one thing, if you did that, if Texas did secede, you could sit there and say that border deal is yours now.
Yeah, not our border.
Leave us out of it.
Our border's with Texas.
That's right.
Oklahoma's got the border.
And don't come over here.
Good afternoon, my friends in Texas. I'm here to bang.
Kim, you're talking about guns and what I said. If a candidate said, I can get rid of the guns, would he win? Go ahead.
No, he wouldn't, because this is Kim Stone, P1, long time from Stanford, North Carolina.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Gun-toting Tim. Yes. I love you guys.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion is, at this point in time, you just cannot simply get rid of all the guns that are in the United States, in people's hands, ghost guns and otherwise. What really needs to be done, because we have to protect our Second Amendment, which I'm all about, the land of the free, home of the brave, but something needs to be done for people to acquire these semiotic weapons that are being used over and over and over again. And It's in my opinion, for example, the latest in Oklahoma City, there's 13-year-old children.
Yeah. It's a huge problem. It's a huge issue. So if a candidate ran on that, I'm getting rid of these guns that are being used over and over again in shootings at different places, would he win if he made it his main focus, do you think?
No.
No. Mm-hmm. So really, I mean, it's really it's almost unsolvable. Every time
it's just woven in the fabric of the country.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and the toothpaste out of the tube, but it's getting worse because what she's saying, these kids in Kansas City, they're juveniles that shot 23 people, at a parade, and they weren't even trying to shoot a bunch of people.
Those were kids that got shot.
Yeah, they were kids that got shot. It really just
that's where you can have it, but you got to have laws.
Thank you.
You got to keep a tab on.
But it's against the law to shoot somebody. I mean, that's the counter argument. But what they did was you can carry guns in public places.
Yeah.
They were carrying guns now.
So should that be?
I know, were they licensed? I don't know the answer to that. But it's not against the law in most places to walk around with a gun.
So should that, if a president or a government official ran on that platform and said, okay, we're going to make it illegal to carry them around in public places, and it's harder to get them, would he win?
They don't tout that in their campaign speeches, but once they're in, sometimes they will go after that sort of legislation.
Yeah.
Well, that's what everybody says every time a Democrat runs.
Right.
That's why gun sales triple.
The gun sales go up when Democrats are going to win.
And I think the one thing is, and this is going to be said, our emails are full of it. Just why are you punishing the good people with guns?
Right. Yeah.
Because the bad people with the guns are not going to go to a gun buyback and turn their gun in. Well, You're going to be asking good people, responsible owners to do so. But, you're not, your bad people are still going to have them. And I mean, that is true in that case.
I've heard that a lot too, but we'll never know the percentage of quote unquote good gun owners who don't store their guns properly, who do let them, they store them irresponsibly and then get mad or shoot an ex.
We just had
it happens.
Absolutely.
That happens all the time.
And we just had a story of somebody walking into was it you? Someone walked into a house and there was a gun.
It was my family.
It was your family. Oh, your sister bought a house and that gun was left out. And he's a good, responsible gun owner. It's like, well,
But that argument's always going to be there.
But that's a myth, the good gun owner. Sorry.
I agree with you. And what I would do now, my candidate, if I were running like this, I'd say, listen, we're going to give you 5 years to sell it back. And after that 5-year mark, if you're caught with a gun, it's 20 years in prison.
Yeah.
I mean, if you shoot a gun, you're in prison.
You know who did that first?
Oh, God, it's the Nazis. Don't tell me it's the Nazis.
Nazis did it back in the 40s.
It was whole Herr Hitler.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
Tell me it wasn't Hitler.
Oh, it's like it's the classic meme. I mean, you're going to get inundated with that today.
Tell me it wasn't
I promise you.
No. Tell me it wasn't Hitler. Was it Hitler?
It was Hitler.
I believe he did the same thing you're doing. I'm doing this for you.
In fairness, so did Stalin.
Tell me it wasn't Stalin.
Yeah, but who did it first?
Oh.
Well, Hitler took the lead. He had a better PR guy.
Oh my God, they're like 1 and 1A.
It's like the first page of the dictator's playbook is like, get the weapons.
That's right. And take over the radio station.
So you're saying if people Google this, they're going to say Hitler, Stalin, and my fat face.
And you.
That's right.
Maybe Mao, maybe Castro.
Perhaps.
Well, at least can they use a good picture, unlike
Probably
the billboards.
Pol Pot.
Okay.
I'll let you use a good picture.
Well, I need a good picture.
I'll use one.
Our billboards use heavy pictures of this.
You pick the picture. Everything else will tell the story.
Well, Dave with his new phone will drive one of those little mustaches on me, like Hitler. That's what he does.
It's about time.
And listen, I'm not saying I'd support all this. I'm just saying I said what
just
is.
saying what
I
if.
said what